Welcome to First. We have a special experience for you this week. We've gone through our shows from this year and pulled some of the best of our First experience segments for you.
From craftspeople to holistic care for horses and some music as well, it's right here for you on this holiday special edition of
First, your public media news magazine, and it starts now.
Welcome to the show that gives us the most fun of the year. It's our First Experience special. I'm Nichelle Poston along with Shirley Min and Mark Eichman.
We are changing the format just a bit. We've altered our set too, so let's get started.
We start in Newark using old world techniques mixed with modern graphic design. One company is using the printing press to create art.
From posters and cards, books, stationery, and everything in between. Lead Graffiti is an eclectic mix of old and new worlds.
We're Lead Graffiti. We're a letterpress studio. It's a family-run business. My wife Jill, my son Trey, and I, we fell in love with that on a study abroad trip. I taught at the University of Delaware. We would take students over to London during the summers, and we came across letterpress. Thought it'd be an interesting thing for the students to have some historical experience. Got involved in it, fell in love, became quite frankly obsessed with doing it. Letterpress has been around for a long time, and the idea is that you've got a raised surface that you put ink on it and then press that surface against the paper, much like a rubber stamp would work.
We have machines from the early 1900s to the late 1800s and so on. What Gutenberg did in 1450, we're doing the exact same thing. We're setting type in, we're inking the type, we're pressing the paper into it. No different than what they did 500 years ago.
A lot of the papers are made from cotton instead of wood fiber, so they feel more like cloth. So it has a tactile quality. It's meant to be held and touched and felt.
We've done this project called Tour de Lead Graffiti, where we watch the Tour de France each day, and each day we come back to the studio and translate the events of that day into a set of posters, one a day for 23 days. So the Library of Congress has them, UCLA has them, the British Library has them. Somebody can come in there 3 centuries from now and look at the 2014 Tour de France posters by Lead Graffiti. They're going to be sitting in a box. It's incredible.
It's cool. It's nice. It's great being able to say that you've got something in the Library of Congress or in special collections at the University of Delaware. It's cool. It gives you chill bumps. Just kind of thinking about it. It's really a lot of fun. We want it to be preserved, and if we can show that letterpress is more than just wedding invitations and certificates, it's really expressing yourself through color, through typography. It's experimenting with that and expressing yourself creatively in that way.
I like sitting in front of this machine and hitting the keys and just listening to the sounds of the machines working. There's pride in what you're printing, looking down at the type and actually seeing ink on the paper. And it's nice, knowing that this is something that we did, I did.
There's that sense of, I made this. Oh, I have goosebumps right now when I'm thinking about this. That's your image, that's your print, you made that. There's nothing in between it. You didn't send it off, you didn't outsource it. You can just feel the human being in it. Just is complete fun to do.
Lead Graffiti also has classes. You can find more information about all of this on their website, leadgraffiti.com. Now, on to another old world craft. There's a saying, by hammer in hand do all arts stand. It refers to the blacksmith, a person who once made some very important items that fit into everyday life. In Delaware City, Kerry Rhodes carries on this old world craft and bends it to fit his artistic vision.
Well, I'm a blacksmith. Blacksmithing's defined by technique, not by any particular style or time period. So it's the techniques you use that make you a blacksmith. My mother was an art teacher. My dad taught me a lot about composition through photography. And my sisters are artists, my brother's an artist, my aunt was an artist, so kind of grew up in that environment. When I was a little kid, we used to go to a cabin up in New Hampshire that my grandparents had. We would go to the oldest crafts fair in the United States, and I would watch a blacksmith by the name of Joe Tucker. So that's how I got my interest as a kid, and then about 25 years ago is when I started. I tried it and took a Weber grill and knocked the bottom out and put a hair dryer on it, and that was the start of all this. I had no skill when I started, so it just basically started as a hobby. It was just a lot of practice. Then the custom work started coming in, so I used that as a vehicle to kind of learn my craft. You know, you wouldn't make any money because it takes you a lot longer to make something when you don't know what you're doing that well. A lot of people don't have the opportunity like I did when I was a kid. We would go to craft shows and things, and so I was exposed to a lot of art. And a lot of people don't have that. You know, their parents don't go to art shows or they don't go to craft shows, things like that. So by opening up in a town, a lot of people would never have the experience of seeing what a blacksmith shop is or even does. It's kind of exciting to see, you know, young kids come in and parents and just, you know, they had no idea that this even existed or how it's done, or so it's a nice way to give back to the community. I mean, I've been doing it for 25 years, and even when I'm not working, I like doing it. There's always something to learn. I like it all.
If you want to learn more about blacksmithing, Kerry offers classes year-round. Check out his website, forgedcreations.com, to learn more.
The Capitol Ringers have been making beautiful music for 10 years. First Experience stopped by their recent show at the Smyrna Opera House. It's sure to get you in the mood for Christmas.
Capitol Ringers was a vision of mine many, many years ago. I wondered if we could start a group in the Dover area since it's rather rural. We banded together and we started to make the plans on what we would do. We started to do our concerts, and in a few years we were purchasing our own handbells and continued to grow our program and our concerts. And now we've ended up having the largest set of handbells on the Delmarva, having 6 octaves, 73 bells, and a large set of hand chimes that complement that. This is the only instrument that uses or needs multiple people to play. So when you have 15 people who have to work together so closely and have to count and be so rhythmically accurate to be able to achieve that piece, it's challenging. The neat thing about our 10th anniversary is that this is when we purchased the next octave of bells, so we've grown the number of bells that we have for 15 ringers. I see also we've been invited to go far off the Delaware Peninsula, so it's time for us to move and go into our surrounding areas and into our other surrounding states. My mission has always been to make sure that people recognize that this instrument is so unique and relatively new, actually. It's only 50-some odd years old in this country. But to recognize the diversity of the instrument, the diversity of music. When you can play pop tunes, show tunes, Disney themes, it's just amazing, the diversity. The audience reaction is amazing. I think it's surprising for people to hear, like, wow, I didn't know you could do that. Didn't know you could play that kind of music on handbells. Plus all of the techniques. There's a lot of different ways that we achieve sound on handbells. It's pretty unique as well. It's the fun of putting it together and hearing at the end of a concert that kind of impulsive response that is what really brings, I think, all of us back.
The Capitol Ringers don't just perform holiday music, but popular music as well, using the handbells. For more information on tickets and shows, visit them on the web at capitolringers.org.
Dan Lynch has been around horses all of his life. A decade ago, he discovered a new way to care for one of his ailing horses. He now uses a holistic approach to care for other horses he meets through his business, Delaware Natural Hoof Care, where Dan works to train and educate others about its benefits.
Come here, baby boy. Some people say that a horse has 5 hearts, well, 4 of them are their hooves. What we do nowadays with the natural hoof care and without shoes is we're molding the foot, shaping the foot like they found it in the wild on the Mustangs. I had horses all my life, shod, put shoes on, everything. Then this mare, we were feeding her this grain, trying to get some weight on her, and she foundered on me, which is where the coffin bone breaks loose and rotates in the hoof. And I got on the internet and, man, like boom, 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 you know, natural hoof care, and they wanted to set the coffin bone back down to ground parallel where it's supposed to be and relieve the stress on the damaged lamina, and it just made perfect sense to me, and there was nobody around here doing it. It's primarily is being able to let the foot expand and contract to aid in blood flow, which helps with absorbing the higher frequencies of energy on impact. From there, I just went clinics and just anywhere I could go, learned about this, and then this just took off. And here we are. It's been very exciting.
I do basically the same thing Dan does. We do the natural hoof care for the horses. It's something probably fairly new within the last 10 years that has started to catch on. And we like to just model our horses after what nature intended. I got into this because I started looking at my shod horses' feet. And I kept looking at them and thinking, you know, they're just starting to look worse and worse. I've known Dan for 10 years, but it took me that long to call Dan and say, I need your help. Now that I see how much better my horses' feet look even after 8 months, you know, I feel bad that I've had my horses shod for 30-some years.
I do alternative medicine. For horses, my main deal is acupuncture and chiropractic, and I can also do herbals. And I can treat, you know, a lot of stuff with that. There's an ancient Chinese saying, no hoof, no horse. So, you know, if my chiropractic adjustments are going to hold, they've got to have good feet, which is why I've been getting up with Dan a lot and making sure that, you know, he can take care of my patients and that they can be the best they can be.
Change is hard. I think that's the worst part. Change was hard for me. But the whole natural way of doing it is just doing it like it is in nature, how the horse interacts, how the hoof grows. That foot has been evolving for 55 million years. And because we've been putting shoes on it for 1,000, we think we got it covered. And it's not so. It just isn't so. I like the training when we make a huge breakthrough. I think my favorite part of that is the saving someone else's horse, either their relationship with the horse or actually saving the horse itself is by far the best part of this whole thing.
Horse people are kind of a different breed. It's born in us. I like the fact that you help people. I have a horse right now that I'm doing, half of its hoof is rotted off. It gives me joy to make that horse better. I think that's going to be my favorite part, is helping the horse and seeing the owner be happy with what we're doing.
Dan trained Barbara, and now she handles all of the northern Delaware business, as Dan is too busy in southern Delaware these days. You can find information on them at DelawareNaturalHoothCare.com. And if you need a holistic vet, you can find Christina from our story at VetAltCare.com.
Coming up on our first experience special, cold brews and cool tunes. We fire up some 78s and spin some songs with Jupiter Records. And later, we meet a Delaware artist thinking outside the box.
Tucked away among the rolling hills and gated houses along Kennett Pike in Greenville is the Twin Lakes Brewery. There's a little flag that marks the entrance, but inside, the master brewers have big plans. First Experience provides a video taste test of the beer, art, and how a major historical event provided the inspiration.
This farm has been in my family for 7 generations. It dates back to our original founding father, George Washington. George Washington tied his horse up to and planned the Battle of the Brandywine on our farm. You always think that you own something, but in my case, I feel like I'm more like a caretaker for the generations. This brewery was founded after 9/11. I was home brewing with a group of guys, and we said, you know, how dare them come and blow up our buildings? Just let them try and take the right to drink beer from us. And with that, took us from the moment in 2001 till 2006, it took us to build the brewery.
We're a production brewery. We kind of do everything by hand. We lift all the grain into the hopper by hand. We don't have a silo. We brew beer sort of the old way. There's a group of beehives up on the hill here, so we use the honey in some of the beer. Raspberries will be coming up in here, so we definitely will be using them in a batch of something. We're about a 3,000 barrel a year brewery right now. We're like a 100-mile radius, essentially, is what we are. Since we're unpasteurized, we're going to stay basically local.
We really want to be known as a local brewery that makes wonderful fresh beer. Being local is very important to us. You know, this brewery, without our local community drinking our beer, there is no Twin Lakes. If you look at our logo, it says preserving the art of brewing. Preserving the art of brewing means preserving the art of handcrafted brewing, preserving the arts, preserving the environment, preserving the family farm. This room is my uncle's original art studio. This room is really dedicated to him. As you go around and look at the pictures, it's all about the arts. There's a picture of him on the wall over there. His name is Frolic Weymouth. He's the founder of the Brandywine Conservancy. And we're fortunate to have him as a leading member in our community who is protected now. I think it's 50 or 60,000 acres in the Brandywine Valley. The reason our artwork is so beautiful is because we live in this historic area. I have a very close friend of mine named Mark Dance, who's painted our logos to get people thinking about this wonderful landscape and heritage that we have here in the Brandywine Valley, and let people know what a beautiful area that we live in. I'm hoping that our logos transform that into a visual.
great that it's beer, you're making beer, it's a lot of work, but you know what, it's people. The people that come up to drink beer, the people I meet in public. You know, to me, it's more about people than it is about the actual beer. You know, it's great to make beer, you know, because you do put your heart and soul into it. I enjoy seeing somebody enjoy my beer, and that's a great thing too.
It's having this wonderful team that is passionate about making a wonderful beer. It's really their dedication to making this brewery a wonderful place for people to come to. I think it's everything together, but really it's community first. It's letting people know that this is their beer and let them be proud of it.
Twin Lakes Brewing is open Wednesday and Saturdays for tours and tastings. Visit them on their website, twinlakesbrewingcompany.com, for more information. Mark?
Thanks, Shirley. And what could go better with a cold beer than sitting back and relaxing with your record collection? Take those old records off the shelf as we hit Jupiter Records in Wilmington. Can old technology like records and turntables really work in the digital age? If you've ever experienced an LP, you know the answer.
I've worked in record stores for like the last 20 years. I owned a record store in Arizona for 5 years, and I just kind of wanted to have my own record store. A little bit more of a reflection on me, I think. Most of what's in the store was my own personal record collection, so there's just tons and tons of things, because I bought, as a collector, probably 50% of what's in the store right now. Carry all sorts of new and used records, other knick-knackeries, and whatever else we can find that people who collect records would be interested in. It's probably a little crazy. It's no more crazy to me than working in a cube or, traveling or whatever it is. It's just a business. It's something I've done for 20 years, so I know it, and it seems reasonable to me. People are still interested in records, but now people want new records again. So there is a demand for it. We get, a lot of 20, 30, 40-year-olds. You get a lot of older than 40, 40, 50, 60 and up. We get parents bringing in their 10-year-olds, buying them a turntable and a pile of records. And they come for the atmosphere. Just a whole social experience coming to a record store. What's next? More records. We opened in August with about 8,000 or 9,000 records, and now we're up to about 15,000. So I'd like to see that number go up to about 20,000. When you buy an album, you can open it up, you get liner notes, you got cover art, you got inserts. You don't get those kind of things with downloads. I love music, I love people, and I like just flipping through records. With records, you're sitting on a couch or something with 3 or 4 other guys, and you're flipping records, talking, hanging out. Vinyl's a whole different experience.
That story was out of this world. Jupiter Records buys and sells records, and you can find more information on their website, recordsfromjupiter.com. For our next experience, we visit Michael Quattrocchi. He describes the design of his woodwork as Mission Japanese, using beautiful wood and sweeping accents to highlight the natural beauty of the wood rather than ornate carvings. There is more to these boxes than meets the eye, and they are as functional as they are beautiful.
About 3 years ago, I retired from Lockheed Martin. I really enjoy woodwork, and I always did that throughout my career at Lockheed. remodeled several houses and just really like that kind of thing. I started out when I was probably 9 years old doing some woodworking. My dad used to do woodworking all his life. It wasn't his profession either, but he loved doing the woodworking. He taught me how to do some really basic things so I could get started in it. And from there, I just loved it, so I've been doing it all my life. One thing I really like doing is discovering wood. It's like treasure hunting. I'll find wood any place. I'll stop at any lumber yard that I drive by. Some of the places I go know me. They'll say, oh, here's something I have for you that's kind of unusual, and I'll pick it up, and it might sit over here in my wood pile for 3-4 years, and then eventually I'll use it for something. I really, really like spalted maple, for one thing. It has a real character to it. Really has a lot of different kinds of pictures in it that I see, so I try to highlight that with the boxes. My base is really arts and crafts, so that's the biggest influence in the box. The Japanese influence is mostly in the handles and the adornments. It's very sweeping type design and shapes that kind of enhance the arts and crafts, and that's kind of what I latched onto. It's just personally satisfying. If I cut a piece of wood and see some fantastic things going on in the wood, it makes me excited. It's really fun. I can't wait to build something. When I find that piece of wood and I say, wow, this is what it's going to be, I just can't wait to build it. When people enjoy and see something really unusual and they say, wow, this is great, beautiful, feels good even, that gives me a kick, to hear people say that. It's fun. And the reason I want to sell is so I can make more, because what would I do with all this stuff if I didn't do that?
Each piece is unique, and Michael says he doesn't have a project in mind when he starts. Rather, he crafts the box to meet the beauty of the wood. It's also a family affair. Mike regularly consults his wife for design ideas and feedback. You can find more information on his website, quattrochockywoodwork.com.
This is our last show for 2014. We'll be back with new shows beginning January 9th, but you can always find us online at WHYY.org/first. Look for our reporting of Delaware's daily news on newsworks.org/Delaware, as well as on WHYY FM 90.9.
And that's it for this special edition of First. We hope you enjoyed it. We look forward to bringing you more stories like these and some other specials we have in the works in the coming year. For Mark Eichman and Nichelle Polston, I'm Shirley Min. Have a great holiday and a Happy New Year.